Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the HiPEAC Conference 2021. This year, unfortunately, in online format, but it's what we have. And welcome to STEM Day. Welcome. Thank you for joining us as well. Thank you for thinking about yourself, preparing your career development. And thank you for coming to this session. We'll discuss how to sell yourself to a company, training session with David. And okay, let's begin. So just an overview of some of our activities these next few days. This morning, of course, the training session. You will get some tricks by David, how to prepare your CV, how to get ready for a job interview, different perspectives of career development. And we hope you can use these tips and tricks for the next days and sessions of the conference, where you will be able to contact many companies and you'll have the opportunity to talk to them and to network. After lunch at 3, we'll have the famous presentation of HiPEAC jobs. So I welcome you as well to come after that, and where we will discuss our services, our activities, the current opportunities we have for you. So please make sure to go afterwards. Of course, we'll have the discussion on what our company is looking for in students, where we invited speakers from one biggest companies in the world, like ARM, Huawei, Radeon Technologies, DeepMind, MongoDB Solutions, and Stream HPC, where they as well will share their opinion, and we'll discuss a bit about trending topics, about young professionals, career development, career opportunities as well. You will have the opportunity as well to talk firsthand with them and to ask questions. So please register if you haven't, and see you at 3. Tomorrow, of course, it will be the company days. We'll have the virtual job fair. So make sure as well to register for Brazen. I don't know if you have done so, but you can do it on the HiPEAC website, conference website. It's the online platform where the job fair will proceed. And of course, you will have the keynote speech from AMD and the industrial sessions with presentations from all of the conference sponsors. On Wednesday, the last day of the conference, if you sent your CV when you registered, we sent them out to every company attending, and they are currently screening them. And if you get picked, we'll get in touch with you to arrange one-on-one job interviews with interesting companies as well. So just a brief topic. What is HiPEAC? HiPEAC is the premier focal point for networking and training and collaboration activities between researchers, industry, and policy in Europe, everything related to computing systems. And today it's the biggest network in Europe with over 2,000 members. And it's a great opportunity to be part of this network and to have access to all of these activities and services that we provide. And HiPEAC Jobs was just born out of necessity, because all of these people needed some career perspective, career development, and as well, not only the established professionals, but as well young people like you. So that's why HiPEAC Jobs was created. But we'll discuss it further in the afternoon. So we'll talk about this and many things in our activities after lunch. So if you get curious, you can head out to our website. Okay. Just a simple explanation about this session. If you have any questions, feel free to post them on the Zoom platform. David, I think he prefers that in the end he'll answer all the questions. So feel free to, during the session, post questions, and afterwards you will get to them. Now thanking David as well from the BSc, from the HR department. Thanks a lot for joining us, and you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much to all the assistants. Thank you, Antonio, for giving me the word. Now I will share my presentation, so give me a moment. And as Antonio has told you, in this case, we will be talking about employability and, well, at the end, how to sell yourself to a company, how to be, well, the most attractive profile in a recruitment process. So, can you see the screen? It is okay? Okay, thank you very much. So, welcome again to this session. And as Antonio has told you, we are going to be talking about employability and about how to make, well, how to take the best about your profile and how to show it to the different companies or the different career paths that you are interested in. So, first, I would like to that you have a brief glance at what are we going to see in this session. So, first of all, I would like to explain you in what consists this session. After that, we will talk about the two main career paths that you currently have as undergraduate, master, or PhD students. We also will be looking at the resume, how to improve it, and how to put the main points in this kind of document. We will also talk about some of the professional networks that you have at the hand of your hand. Of course, HiPEAC is included, so please take it into account. We will also talk after these four first points about the second part of the process. These four first points are the preparation or the setting up, but the four last points are the process per se. So we will talk about active search and how to do it efficiently. We'll talk about the cover letter. That is a document that, well, most of the people leave to the end, or maybe some of the candidates doesn't give the proper importance to the document. We will also talk about the main key of the process, the interview with the human resources technique or with the engineer technique. And last but not least, we will also talk about a point that most of the people doesn't well don't give the proper importance, the follow-up, the process of being still in contact with the company after the interview and, well, in the last steps of the process. So, starting, I would like to ask you, well, on at least I would like that you think, what are the main goals of being employable? What does mean being employable? At the end, well, the thing is you want to improve your employability, you want to be the key candidate to a company. But I would like that this company goes a little further, only that to be employable. I would like that you know better yourself, professionally talking, obviously. For this meaning, I would like, at least as a first suggestion and as a first tip, that in order to achieve a profession, in order to achieve a position, you need to ask you the proper questions. You need to ask you what kind of career path do you want to follow, or what kind of professional field do you want to work with. It is not useful if you only follow a career path, or you apply to a company only for the sake of having a position, because in that case you are not be completely fulfilled, and that path you are not be motivated following it. So, talking about career path, as talk and as I was presenting at the beginning, you have, well, some options. You have the end two main options, being in the state that you are currently already. So, first of all, you have the research path. Through the research path, I wanted to show you at least the Spanish path related with research, but this path is more or less similar to the rest of countries in Europe. So, as you can see, at the beginning steps, you can be as an undergraduate or as a master student, but after that you have some options. You don't only have the option to go with a theoretical PhD thesis. You also have the option to go through an industrial PhD thesis. And the thing and the most interesting part about all the research path is that all the steps are changeable. You are not submitted to one step once that you begin with that one. And that is quite interesting because you can interchange them and going to the other. And well, if you are more interested in engineering companies, then coming back to an industry employee. As you can see, this takes time because, to be a consolidated researcher, it takes at least between 6 and 8 years, but you will have, all the time to go all along that path. Also, I wanted to put you this link from the FECIT, the Spanish Foundation for Science and Technology. Please answer me if you can see what I'm currently sharing. Antonio, are you able to see the other screen that I'm sharing?
No.
Okay, give me a moment and I will share it again. Okay, no?
Yes. Now
Okay.
yes.
As you can see, there are the Spanish options, but the thing that I wanted to show you is the European ones. As you can see, if you follow the research path, you have, a wide range of options, taking into account, for instance, the Marie Curie options related with PhD fellowships, the ARC, and going a little further, we also have, all the Spanish options and some European ones more. Don't worry, because if you want this link, I will provide it at the end of the presentation, and you will have a lot of information related with research and this specific career path. So now, going back to the presentation, the other kind of path that you have in the now from now on, it's the one related with engineering. It's true that it's a more diffuse path, and you need to know yourself better in order to know what kind of company you want to follow, because this it's not only for to develop a thesis and then collaborating and developing your own project. This you need to be in a company, and it's quite recommendable to share the values and the goals that this same company has. If you don't share the values or the goals that the company has, from my experience and from all the profiles that I have interview, it's quite complicated to be in the same page with the company. So in this case, you need to ask you some questions as what kind of company I would like to work with, what kind of projects I would be more interested. Would I be open to a flexible change in my professional field? These kind of questions, it seems quite obvious, these questions, okay, but have you asked them previously? Because if you haven't asked them to yourself, then it is time to ask them, because they are quite important. They seem obvious, but we don't stop to ask ourselves these questions, and it's useful for continuing through the career path. So coming back to the presentation, as you can see, you have a wide range of options, and in this case, this is not the only options that you have. So that is the reason, because you need to ask yourself these kind of questions. Continuing through the presentation, the next thing that you need to do with your profile, was that you at least know the one or two options that you want to follow through your career path, is how to show yourself to the different companies or the different research groups that you are applying. So from my perspective, I have asked myself this question a lot of times, but I would like that you ask yourself this question now. You don't need to answer me, but I would like that you ask yourself, how do you prefer to know a person? So from my perspective, you have some ways to know a person, but a list or a picture, well, are right forms of knowing a person? I don't think that they are. I think that the most fitting option to know a person is an explanation. In fact, a self-explanation from themselves. So, well, taking into account this date and this information, the first point that you have to put in your resume is a self-explanation, a self-introduction about your interests, your background, your career. So I would like to give you some tips about what kind of self-introduction you should put in at the beginning of your resume. A good self-introduction should have at least these 5 points: shortness, synthesis, experience, main soft skills, and a goal or a motivation. Now, please let me show you what I'm talking about. As you can see in this self-introduction, well, it's a short paragraph, synthetic, because this paragraph is only talking about some of the experience of the projects and, well, the most important of all the resume that the person is going to read furtherly. You also can see the experience, but you can see it briefly. Only 4 years of expertise in a kind of specific field. This kind of a specific field, I'm putting this synthetic qualificative. It's also related with soft skills, because it means that you are well, used to this kind of fast-paced environment. Also, you should put a goal or a motivation, and in this case, in this self-explanation, you can see that the person is seeking to advance his or her career by growing with this team. So in this case, we have a perfect self-introduction. Don't worry, because in the next slide, we are going to see some others, but this one is the perfect example of a good self-introduction. So, well, now we have our self-introduction, but what do we do next? What we put in a resume, how we put the information properly. The thing is, with the resumes, is not well, a solid discipline, a solid art, because you can find a lot of variety of resumes all along the internet. I assume that you have already looked for resumes to do yours, but so you don't need to take a specific template and fill it. You can do with some templates or mix them. But the thing is, a resume should at least have the 6 next points that I'm going to show you. In this case, these two resumes are quite good examples of what a good resume is, and as you can see, they are quite different. So that was what I was telling you. It doesn't need to be a specific template, but what I wanted to show you is the specific points, the at least 6 points that a resume needs. First, obviously, the personal information. Um, Looking at the resume, it is necessary to put how to the person contact you, and if you have a professional network or a place where you put your projects, it is also interesting to put it in your personal information. Also, the self-introduction. As you can see, I don't know if you can see the self-introduction in this example of resumes, but they are also different from the last one in the previous slide, but they require the 5 points that I told you: the experience, the goal, both of them, the soft skills, and well, other additional information like projects and interests in the explanation. Also, you should put your professional experience, and in this case, let me do, well, a strong suggestion about the professional experience. It is quite recommendable to put it in a counter chronological order. As you can see, the old experience goes from the present to the first experience. Why is this useful? Because if you put your most recent experience, then a human resources professional or the hiring manager can see, well, where are you currently? or at least what has been your last profession and in which technologies you has been related most recently, and then they are able to see it to the not the last interesting part but your first experience. So this is quite recommendable to put it like this. Also in the professional experience is I give you this suggestion to put some of the main projects that you have developed in the different experiences. You don't need to put all the tasks or all the projects or all the objectives that you had, because then you will feel all the shit with your experience and with your projects, and that is quite unsuggestible for a resume. Also, it's quite obvious, but I need to remark it. You need to put your academical background. In this case, it doesn't matter if you put it in chronological order or in contra chronological order. As you can see, in this case it's put in contra chronological order, and in this case it's put in chronological order. That doesn't matter. From my perspective and from my experience, well, it's useful if you put it in contra chronological order, but it is not quite useful as with the work experience. Also, the text and soft skills, it's a must in a resume document. You should put the different soft skills that you have, and for that sake, you can do some online soft skill tests, and they are going to give you a brief glance of what are your soft skills. Also, a good suggestion to know about your soft skills is to ask to most recent manager or to your professor if you are still in the college, to have a little feedback from them. Also, you need to put the technical skills or the technical tools that you are more related with in order to give a glance of what you are most used to work with. And last but not least, some additional information. Why I put this additional information as an apart? Because the five first points are the must of a resume, but the additional information is the spice that gives a resume the difference between an ordinary candidate and a more interesting one. As you can see in the case of the left, um, this person has put some of her personal projects that, in this case, are related with her technical experience, but in other cases, I have seen that they are not related, but they are still interesting. So they give a difference, and they give an interest to the resume. In the right case, you can see that this person has put the certifications that has gained all along the years. This is also interesting because it's not quite related with education. It's more some courses or training that the person has done, and it shows the motivation and the interest for the person to continue with the training and the formation. Well, now that we have talked about the resume, we have talked about the three main points in the first part of selling yourself to a company. So now that you have your resume, that you have at least more or less clear what kind of career path do you want to follow, then you need a professional network. Well, now I thank to HiPEAC to let me explain all this information. And of course, HiPEAC is one of the main networks related with computer sciences in Europe. The thing is, all around the world, I I assume that you know the professional network that I'm going to show you. One of the most known professional networks that we have in the market is LinkedIn. So, what happens with LinkedIn? Yes, it's a more general tool, but the thing with LinkedIn is, at least all the companies have a contact with LinkedIn. And if you are present in LinkedIn and you have the correct contacts in LinkedIn, you are going to be visible. So, in this case, I wanted to give you some tips, some suggestions to be more visible, to have a quite strong profile in LinkedIn. First of all, it is not necessary, but it's suggestible to have a right profile picture. What I mean with a right profile picture, I don't mind to be yourself in LinkedIn with a tuxedo or with a professional jacket. I mean, if you want to be an engineer or you want to be an architect or this kind of professions, then you at least should be in the picture as how you would be in your space, in your professional space. Would you be with a tuxedo or with a jacket, or would you would be with a shirt and with some trousers in your office chair? Then you need to think at least how would you like that your manager sees you or your research group manager sees you in your position. Also, a background photo is suggestible. What I mean with a background photo, um, from the communication perspective, it is quite good to look at all the information with a background photo that is nice and quiet, and not with the blank background that LinkedIn gives you, because it's completely gray and it's a little boring. So this is only as a marketing perspective. It's suggestible to have this background photo. Also, in your LinkedIn profile, you should put your most relevant skills. If you have joined LinkedIn, you will see that below of your profile, you are able to put the relevant skills, talking about soft skills, technical skills, or the different languages that you are able to program with. So in this case, you need to ask yourself, well, what are the most relevant ones? Because it is more important if you put the ones that you are, in fact, expert, than not the ones that you only know a little. If you put the ones that you know really, really good, then when a company looks for this kind of languages, then you are going to be found. And when they ask you for this language, you are going to be able to ask properly about this language or this technology. Also, your motivation. In fact, let me give you this tip. You can use most or in fact all of the self-explanation from the resume in LinkedIn. It's true that it should be a little longer and put why are you in this professional network, but besides that, most of the information that you have put in the self-explanation, it is going to be useful for LinkedIn. Also, recommendations. Do you remember what I told you about ask to your previous managers or to your professors if you are still in university for feedback about your soft or technical skills? Well, let me give you this piece of advice. Ask them also for recommendations. With a line or with a paragraph of 2 lines, it is more than enough in order to have recommendations from them. And this is quite a good tool for the other people in this professional network to look at your profile and then, to have a strong glance at why are you good from a third perspective. Also, it is quite useful to share relevant content. I mean, if you are more interested in high performance programming or in data science, then follow the accounts or follow the users that share this kind of content, this kind of information, and share their publications. Or maybe if you have a project related with what you want to continue or the goal that you want to follow, then share it too. It is going to be more useful than rather the some of the content that is currently shared in LinkedIn. And last but not least, have a readable link. What I'm meaning with a readable link. So if you look to the link of a user, you will see that at the end of the link there is a group of different characters. You are able to change these characters through your user account. There is an option in the user account that says change my link. It is quite easy to look at it. In fact, if at the end of the presentation, if you want that I show you how to do it, I will do it, don't worry. So you can change it, and then at the end of the LinkedIn link, instead of only a bunch of characters, it will put, I don't know, in my case, David slash Estepa. And that is quite a more remindable link than not linkedin.com slash for X, H, etc. But, well, we have talked about LinkedIn as a professional network. The thing is, as we already know that it's also HiPEAC, there are also other professional networks all along the internet that you will be able to share your content, to be online, and to be visible. And I strongly recommend you that you are visible in, well, in this kind of professional networks that I'm going to show you. As you can see, this is only a brief glance or the, well, of the wide ranges that we have as professional networks all along the internet. The thing is, Shin, for instance, is quite a similar professional network to LinkedIn. So all the tips that you have that I gave you to LinkedIn, they are applicable to for Shin. Stack Overflow, I assume, well, overall, to all the programmers and computer sciences students that are currently in this session, they will know this tool. It is, well, mostly to choke part of the code and put it in your code, and for, well, for adding a tool or for adding an application to the program that you are programming. The thing is, Stack Overflow also has different forums and different networks that allow you to have more near interaction between the users, and sometimes the companies put their jobs and their applications there. So that is quite useful to be visible and to be active in Stack Overflow. Then talking about, well, the little brothers of the professional networks, the social networks, we have Twitter and Reddit. If you find the correct feed in Twitter and Reddit, then you are going to find gold, because if you find a feed about data science, high performance computing, parallel programming, this kind of disciplines, or I don't know, biomedical engineering, etc., then you also can be visible there, and you can be strongly interactive with the different users, and the companies are also visible in this kind of social networks. So then I recommend you to use this one too. And last but not least, the different community forums. What I mean with community forums, all the webs, or at least most of the famous websites in the internet have community forums. With famous websites, I am meaning from Fiverr to Huwaei Packard to, well, BSC has community forums. So if you find the company or the university that you want to research with, and you have clear in which one you want to be as a position, then you will be able to find the different community forums and to be active there too. Well, now that we have part from the self-knowledge, from the different questions that you have asked yourself, from that you already know the career path that you want to follow, or at least the questions that you need to ask yourself in order to follow the correct career path, you have clear how to develop a proper and strong resume, and you have the knowledge of doing the professional network. Now we have arrived to the second part of a process, to begin with the active search. What is an active search in a candidate terms? In this case, in the candidate terms, is to look for work. It's as simple as that, is to begin with looking for the different positions that you want to be in, or to look for the different fellowships that you want to be granted with, and then the different research institutions. In order to do this, there are few suggestions that I can give you, because this is a work day after day that you need to do. You need to follow the different professional networks that you have been in. You need to follow the different job sites of the companies that you want to stay, and you need to follow the different fellowships websites that you want to be granted with. The only one or two suggestions that I can give you is that you be constant all the days, or at least all the weeks, and you put yourself reminders about, well, in this day you put yourself to apply, see if they have sent you an answer, or in this day is going to to finish this presentation of the documentation for this fellowship. Please put it in your calendar. This kind of follow-up. In other words, it's well, it's a discipline work. But now that you have been following the active search and you have found, well, a process or a fellowship, then it's the beginning of the process. So in this case, you already have your resume, you already have put it currently your all the information, but with the resume, I strongly recommend you that you also send a cover letter. So in this case, what is a cover letter? A cover letter is a document that more or less sums up all the information from the resume, and also the reason because you are applying to that position. This is quite interesting for us, for the human resources professionals or the hiring managers, because then we can see that not only you have take the time to write the cover letter, but also you have personalized it for ourselves. As you can see, well, now I'm going to show you the main points of a cover letter, but the main characteristic of a cover letter is that it is personalized is customized for the company or the fellowship that you are going to send. So as you can see, well, the contact info, you have to put it as with the resume. But in this case, you can see in the different points that you have a customizable document. I strongly recommend you that you have a customizable document, but the last part, the conclusion, is the one that you have to write every time. And why I'm meaning this? If you write this part every time, you are going to truly put the reason why you want that position that you have applied, or why you want to be granted with a fellowship, and not only to be working in a place or to be granted with a fellowship. If you write every time this last paragraph, that as you can see is only 4 or 5 lines, then you are going to be completely sincere and transparent, not only with the company, but with yourself. And maybe, and I have found this more usually that I would recognize, if you write at the end of the cover letter this paragraph, in some cases you are going to find that you don't want that position. So as a suggestion, be completely transparent to yourself. Write this part at the end, and then if you are not completely convinced with the position that you're applying with, don't apply, because you are not be comfortable going through all the process that are recruitment or a fellowship process take path. Okay? So now that you have the resume and the cover letter, you send the documents, and then you arrive to the key part, to the part that you at least show your skills, your experience, and your background to the person, the interview. So uh, I know because, well, now I'm a human resources professional, but I have been in your side too. I have been in the part of being the candidate and the finalist of a process. And I know that the persons and the people, the different candidates have in mind that a recruitment process or a fellowship process, it's a test rather than a conversation. Let me tell you that no, this is not true. I know that at the end, a recruitment process is the well, the process that you have to go through in order to arrive to a position or to be granted with a fellowship. But let me tell you this: all the hiring managers and the human resources professionals, the only thing that they want is, well, to cover a position or to work or collaborate with a professional. So don't take it as if the person in the other side of the process is a professor or a policeman that is going to test you. No, it's a person that wants to collaborate with other professional. And because of this, you and this is a suggestion that I give you as a professional and as a person. you need to be transparent with the person and with yourself. This is not a test. Don't be in a defensive stand. Be completely transparent. And if they ask you anything, it is going to be more possible that they ask you that question not because they want to trick you, but because they are rightly doubtful about that question. So ask completely sincere in those kind of questions. So talking about interviews, how to stand an interview, how to go through it. In order to know how to go through it, I would like to explain you first what kind of interviews you may face. First of all, there is the standard interview. In a standard interview, you will find, it is maybe done by the secretary person of the manager, or maybe a junior profile, or maybe it's the interview that they want to give you. In these cases, a standard interview has a chronological checklist about your experience. Also, they will ask you some superficial knowledge questions about the tools or your soft skills, and also they will ask you about laboral questions. And with laboral questions, I am meaning salary expectations, relocation availability, uh, current availability if you are working or not currently, and such questions. Do you remember what I told you in the previous slide about transparency? So in this case, it's pretty applicable. If they ask you about salary expectations or about your availability, it's not a trick question. They really want to know, what do you have in mind in order to be in the same page as collaborators. So please be transparent with yourself and with the person that is at the other side of the table. The thing is, in your field, in the engineering or in the research field, it is not usual that the professionals or the hiring managers stay only in the standard interview. They're going to go through the other two kind of interviews that I'm going to show you. First, it is the hiring manager or your manager, your technical manager. The next interview that you are going to have is the technical one. With a technical interview, what you are going to wait from them is a more specific technological questions related with maybe the languages that you have been most used with, or if you know the different languages or the tools that they use in the position. Also, they will ask you about professional interest in order to know if you are going to be sincerely engaged with the position and the tasks that you are going to lead. And maybe in these interviews, you should expect a technical test related with the languages or tools that we were talking before. Also, if it's a human resources professional, the one that is leading the interview, or maybe the hiring manager, maybe what they do is a competential interview. In a competential interview, you shouldn't expect technologies questions or languages questions, but what you should expect is what we call a behavioral event interview. A behavioral event interview is an interview related with behavior and soft skill questions. In what is this based? This is based completely in psychology, in fact, in organizational psychology. And basically, they will ask you past questions about different events from your career related with soft skills. And you will be able to look for these questions because they will ask you questions as do you remember a project in which the obstacles were too high? How did you organize your time? In this case, we are the person would be measuring resource managing and time organization. These two are two soft skills that are quite um, useful for high-paced environments or for stressful positions. So this is a tool in order only to measure, but not to evaluate, only to measure if the person is going to be a good collaborator with the project. Also, they are going to ask you for your career path. Maybe I know what you are thinking right now. This is quite similar to a professional interest, but the difference is a professional interest is in what you are interested currently, in what you are interested about technologies, about tools, or about positions itself. The career path is more focused in the future. I don't like to ask the typical questions, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Rather than that, I prefer to ask, what kind of career path or career way would you like to follow? Because depending on this answer, it will not mandate, but well, maybe change a little your training and your assessment if you are the finalist. Also, in this kind of interviews, you should expect a psychotechnical test that is more related with soft skills, and it is used as a second tool besides the BEI. So now I have explained you for the two, maybe three interviews that you are going to have all along your professional career and the position set. But these tips are pretty common to the 2 or 3 interviews. So I would like to give you these suggestions in order that you nail your interview. So first of all, cause a good first impression. With a good first impression, I'm not telling you that you are Christian Bale in American Psycho. No, I'm not meaning that. But with only 2 or 3 changes, you can cause a good first impression. I mean, being at the time that you have a court, then wear proper clothes, taking into account the position that you want to be. Also, this suggestion is more for the where we were in the semi-personal space, not now, but it's also suggestible to look at the age your interviewer and to have clear your experience, to have clear what do you want, and to have clear the different paths and why do you want to stay in that company. Also, talking about the company, it is quite recommendable to know a little about the company, to have to at least 1 or 2 days before the interview to have look at the values, the goals, and most recent news about the company. Not for cause a good first impression, but in order to know why do you want to be there and to answer some of the questions that maybe they can ask you, not related with the company itself, but related with your profile and your place in the company. Also, to know your own self pros and cons, to know your strong characteristics and the ones that you should improve in order to achieve a better place in your development. If you do this, then they are not going to trick you. They are not going to catch you with a trick question, because you are going to know what are you good with and what are the areas that you have to improve, and maybe asking you the right questions, you know how to improve already these areas, so you can answer them this, and this would be useful for your career path in the company. And last but not least, your contribution. I mean, you are in that interview for a reason, for a or B reason. It doesn't matter, but you are there for a reason. The first person that should know why are you in that interview is yourself. You should know why you are in in that interview, and in the case that you are the finalist and they hired you, then you should know what you are going to be able to contribute to the company. This is not well authoritarian view for what are you going to give to the company? Are you going to be useful or not? No, but rather this is useful for you in order to know how is going to be your collaboration with the company, and maybe how long are you going to be with them. Maybe that company is only a step to going further, or maybe a step in your development, but at the end you want to stay with them. So if you know your contribution, then you know your place in the company. Last but not least, well, most of the people that I have interviewed, they think that the interview is the last path. They have completed the psychotechnical or the technological test, they have sent the resume and the cover letter, they have been in 2, 3, 4 interviews maybe, and they think, well, it's what I had, this is all done, then it is not my problem. Well, yes, it's a responsibility from the company, but it's quite useful if you do a follow-up. So what to do in the meanwhile? What to go after the interviews? There are 3 main things that you should do, and I strongly recommend you to do. First, know your potential, know your path. If you know what are your good side, your bad, your improving side, and the objectives and goals that you want to follow, then you know that if you are waiting for a position, then this is not the only position that you should be waiting. I mean, if you have been in an interview with a company, you also can be with other companies in interview, because maybe they don't answer you and other companies answer you. So you should know your potential, you should continue with your active search and the different recruitment processes. If you do receive an answer, contact back some of the companies that you are applying. Your profile is important, and your profile is quite one of their high priorities, but maybe the departments are filled up with tasks. I wouldn't like that if they take 1 or 2 weeks in send you an email, you demotivate yourself. So in these cases, if you are seeing that they are not answering you, please send them a message, send them an email. In some of the cases that candidates have sent me an email, I have answered quite good, because I haven't forgotten about them, but maybe I was going to answer them in 1 or 2 days, and because they have sent me an email 2 days before of my answer, I am able to answer them in that same day. And third, keep your online activity. Continue sharing content, continue applying for positions if they are in your radar, if they are in your different goals. You don't have to be accountable to only one company. If they are more that are from your interest, then follow them. Or in the case of the fellowships, you know that you can apply to the different fellowships, but the process are long, and if they are more fellowships that you are interested in, then you can apply to them also. So now that we have seen the second part of the recruitment process, I would like to say that we have finished with the different process, and the only thing that it keeps me to tell you is thank you for all your attention. Thank you for assisting for the almost 30 people that we are here today. And let me also tell you that in the BSc, we are always recruiting, and we are always hiring. So please, if you know about ourselves, about the BSc, about the Barcelona Supercomputing Center, then check our website. It's the bsc.s, and there we have the section of join us. There we have published all the vacancies and fellowships that we offer to the different candidates. And also, if you want to ask me a specific question, or you want to send me as an active send profile, your profile, because you haven't found a specific opportunity in our website, please use the recruitment email, and I will be glad of answering you. So thank you to all of you, and well, I give Antonio the word.
Thank you, David. It was really good. Thanks a lot for the presentation and for the tips and for the useful information. I don't know if anyone has any questions. I didn't see any here. You can. Oh yes, I have a question here from Vinicius. He's saying that is 2 pages too long for a resume?
I know why you're asking that. Um, I know that the resumes that I have put in the presentation are one page. Don't worry if your resume is 2 pages long, because it is, I prefer as a human resources professional, if you put a resume in 2 pages, but it has order, it has a structure, but it occupies 2 pages, rather that you put it all in one page and the information is disordered, they are a completely mess. I prefer it in 2 pages. It is coherent with the structure of the resume.
Okay, that's great. Any questions? We're right on time at 12. Okay, Xavi has posted another question.
Yes. Xavier, thank you for the question. In those cases, yes, I know that in the scientific resumes, they are more than maybe 10 pages. I have looked at them. But in those cases, from my experience, these resumes first have a first part, a first section with the general experience, with the different progression and the different projects, and then they have a second part with all the projects, with all the publication, and with all the collaboration, papers, etc., etc. So in those cases, I recommend to put first a first section with the experience, with the soft skills, with the technical skills, and then a second part with all the projects, collaborations, papers, presentations, etc.
Thank you, David. And yeah, taking about that, the specific parts about technical skills, we have another question here.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting question, subjective.
Well, it depends of what do you want to mean with the stars. I mean, I have seen a lot of a crazy amount of profiles, and the thing is, if you put a 4-star soft skill, as you said, I don't know, team working soft skill, and you put it 5 stars. Okay, I know. Well, the thing is, in that case, 4 or 5 in all the cultures and in all the companies, it means good. But if you put a soft skill with a 2 or 1 star, it, from my perspective, please answer me if I'm not answering you properly. But it should mean that you are being completely transparent, and maybe you are not as comfortable as with that soft skill, with, I don't know, with being communicating in public or with that kind. So maybe in that case, you would be showing not only the strongest of the skills, but also the ones that you need to improve. And maybe you are showing already the career path that you are asking to your manager. So please, if you have that in your resume, left it in your resume, and in the interview, you will have the possibility to talk about that.
Okay, thank you. Another one. How important is the design of my resume?
Well, I have showed you 2 examples of quite good resumes. One of the characteristics that are shown in this kind of resumes are the order, the structure, and the coherency all along the document. It is quite important to have a strong structure and to be coherent with that structure. I have seen resumes that they first follow one kind of structure and then they change at the half of the resume. In the next page is a page from other completely resume with the continuation of the information from their background. So what I recommend you is to follow the same structure always, to be coherent with that structure, and it doesn't need to be in 2 or 3 columns. You can put a resume with a 1 column. But the thing is, in engineering or in design environments, it is more useful to put a 2 columns resume, because you will be able to put more information in those 2 columns. And then you will have a 1-page resume rather than a 2-page resume. Always talking, referring to the question before about the 2-page resume. It doesn't matter if you have a 2-page resume and you are more comfortable doing a 1-column resume with with 2 pages. It's thus is left at you. The thing with the 1-page resumes is that it is all more visible in 1 page. It's only that. But if you, in the 2 or 3 pages resumes, if you put the main information in the first page, then you are going to achieve the same with the 1-page resumes.
Okay, perfect. Nice, really nice tips. Okay, any last questions? Oh, we got a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Are certifications worth getting?
It depends of the environment. I mean, putting the example of of programming, okay? If you want to go to kernel, okay, and you want to be a programmer related with kernel, then it is going to be useful if you put the different certifications that you have related with, sorry, okay, now, it is going to be useful if you put the different certifications that you have related with the, system, with the OS that you have been certificated with. This is going to be strongly recommended if you put it, and not only the projects that you have developed. From other part, if you are a biomedical engineering or a chemical engineer, if you put, I don't know, the different OSA laws or regulations that you have been following and that you have been structured, then this is going to be also useful, and it's not strictly related with your academic background. So yes, it is recommended if you put the certifications, but not all the ones, only the ones that you want to focus that. And then, thank you for the question, because thank you to this question, I'm going to give you one of the tips that I was waiting if one of the questions was like this. I recommend you, if you have the time, if you are interested in more than one environment or one goal, that you have more than one resume. And you can use the same template, but you can change the certifications and the projects that you have been working with in the different resumes. In such thing, then the hiring manager, the human resources professional, is going to be focused in the thing that they want to focus. I mean, yes, it can seem that in a recruitment process, the human resources professional or the hiring manager or the technical manager has the power. But the thing is, the one that is giving the information is you. So if you are transparent, the thing is, as a suggestion and as a must, you should be transparent in a recruitment process. But it doesn't mean that you can do that the person focus their attention in one you want they focus their attention. So you can have more than resume.
Okay, I think that's it, everyone. Gonna close the session. Thanks a lot, everyone, for coming. Thank you, David, for the excellent workshop and training. It was really good.
Thank you, Antonio.
Lastly, I just remind you that in the afternoon at 3 o'clock, we have the HiPEAC Jobs presentation, as well with discussion session with the companies. So please don't forget to go to the HiPEAC Conference and register there, so you can get the Zoom link as well. It will be at 3, don't forget, CET. So thank you, David. Thanks, everyone. See you after lunch. Bye-bye.
Bye, all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.